It's Wednesday, August 26, 2020. I'm Greg Nibbler, and this is Digital Trends Live. Yes, indeed. Hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and thanks for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. We broadcast live here every single weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and more. So join in the conversations that we get to have here. But let's start off with some trending news. The U.S. government is expected to announce a major investment of $1.2 billion into the future of artificial intelligence and quantum computing today. It's to create research institutes dedicated to advancing the fields of study. So the goal of all this is, of course, to stay ahead of China and Europe when it comes to the utilization of advanced technology. So these research institutes will help facilitate the cross-collaboration of private industries, educational facilities, and the government so that they can all be using the most advanced tech. But why AI and quantum computing? Well, artificial intelligence is something we're all familiar with at this point, whether it's our home assistants or algorithms that use our social media data to send us advertisements. AI is only going to grow in use and complexity in the coming years, so that makes sense to establish and invest in the intellectual infrastructure that we'll need to manage it. Now, quantum computing is something that is only barely beginning, and honestly, the actual working of it is really complicated, but the potential is huge. To put it simply, there are certain complex problems that even our fastest computers right now would take billions of years to solve. Quantum computers could solve those same problems in seconds or less. So it's a pretty obvious advantage. Now, it's expected that there will be 12 different research centers announced, each receiving the funds from the National Quantum Initiative Act. Keep in mind, we're only at the infant stages of these two types of tech. So what comes out of this research has some extreme potential to change everything. And by the way, this is the same type of cross-collaboration that happened during the Manhattan Project to develop the atomic bomb. So let's just hope this isn't the prequel to Skynet. But you can read more about the details about this initiative at digitaltrends.com. DJI has introduced an update to its line of mobile gimbals, and this new one is packed with some tech you might normally find on a drone. So for the sequel, they shortened the product name of the previous version, which was called DJI Osmo Mobile 3, to the brand new DJI OM4. The OM4 has 3 axis points and some updated stabilization features with new motors and shooting modes, and part of that improvement includes an upgrade on the mounting features for the phone. So the old version had a clamp-style attachment that you put your phone in. The new one has that option, but also uses a magnetic feature with a ring holder that allows you to quickly mount the phone, and it means you don't have to balance it before you use it. That can be a pain if you've used these before. So they've also incorporated some tech that, like I said, you normally see in their Mavic drones with the inclusion of Active Track 3.0. So this means it can differentiate between objects much better than before. Like if it's tracking an adult walking through a scene, it could ignore pets or kids that would otherwise cause it to waver from what it's following. So there's also some new shooting modes to give you a pre-programmed cinematic look, dynamic zooms, spin shots, sports mode, panoramas, time lapses, and a bunch of others. The battery life is set at about 15 hours, and it can charge your phone at the same time. And the retail price is $150. We've got a lot more detail and information about the DJI OM4 at digitaltrends.com, so head on over there to check it all out. Apple wants your television shows to be more interactive and is reportedly looking to add augmented reality features to them. So Apple TV Plus launched just under a year ago, and despite a pretty staggering array of expensive talent like Tom Hanks and Steve Carell and Jennifer Aniston and so on, it's so far not quite performed as well as they had hoped. So according to Bloomberg, that's why they're looking to enhance the TV experience, which would come in the form of bonus content. So one use case of an AR feature would be the ability to superimpose items or people from a show you're watching into your living room. For example, they have the show called Mankind, which tells an alternate version of the moon landing where the Soviets get there first. So you could look at the show through your iPhone or an iPad and then put a virtual moon lander in your living room or on your coffee table, which I guess makes it that much more real. So, or another example would be, say, a director like Steven Spielberg could be in your living room, sitting on your couch, giving you the commentary as you watch the movie. So some of it could be kind of cool. Apple's also been working on an AR or mixed reality headset for a long time now, and the other part to this report is that headset itself. So the AR content for the shows is expected to debut sometime in 2021, but the headset could be coming the following year. Now, if AR content is part of the future of Apple TV Plus, though, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe a small demonstration of the abilities at the Apple event that's supposed to be coming up sometime soon. So we'll let you know what we find out, and stay tuned to all the details at digitaltrends.com. The search for new planets just received a big boost from artificial intelligence. David Armstrong is a researcher at the University of Warwick in the UK, and his team utilized AI to verify 50 new exoplanets, or planets which revolve around stars other than our sun, from an old dataset gathered from NASA's Kepler mission. So part of the issue of identifying exoplanets is that it takes a lot of time to analyze the data. Generally speaking, you can't conventionally see an exoplanet, so you have to monitor a star for a long time. You have to analyze whether there is the slightest dip in light or something passing in front of it, then take a look at light wavelengths to see if there's a gravitational wobble. It's a lot of data. But what these researchers did is train the AI on other data from that same mission by feeding it cases where they positively identified a planet and then teaching it how to do the same. So now, rather than the scientists themselves going through the data, the AI can determine with 99% accuracy and a lot faster what should be labeled a valid planet. So it saves a tremendous amount of time that they can spend doing on other research. And this is just the start. So it's not like the AI stops learning and refining, so it'll just constantly get better. So who knows what kind of discoveries could be made from this, but it's pretty exciting. You could read more about it at digitaltrends.com. We like to keep you up to date on everything that's going on in the world of technology. And for those of you that want to get into maybe some smart home products, it's exciting, but it can be expensive. Well, we've got our own John Velasco joining us right now to talk about some smart home products that you can get that may save you a little bit on the wallet as well. So John, thanks for joining us. Where do you want to start off with? Oh, looks like we're having a little bit of an audio issue. So we're going to go ahead and get John on here in just a second. But that is what's going on. So we're talking about smart home products. All right, let's set this up here. So when you're looking to get into smart home products.
So as far as smart home goes, everyone thinks that it's going to cost you a fortune to get started with this smart home. But actually, with an essential smart home, you could start up for as low as $100. So I'm going to talk about some products where you'll need to actually get started. So I'm just going to jump right in and talk about the first thing. The first thing you're probably going to need is a smart speaker. And benefits of a smart speaker is that you can control your home without having to use your smartphone. So it's just a convenience factor there. You have your smart assistants who are really useful, talking about Google Assistant, Alexa, and you can ask questions as well. So I have two options I'm going to recommend here. So the first one's going to be this guy here, which is the Amazon Echo Dot with clock. It's their latest generation one here. And basically, it's a simple smart speaker. So you have the clock function there. It acts like any other smart speaker. You could ask Alexa to turn on the lights. You could ask her questions. Simple, easy, affordable, $30, and it plays decent audio as well. The other option here is on the Google side. You have the Google Nest Mini. It's their latest smart speaker, released back fall. It's also $30 right now. You can buy online, and it's just like the Amazon Echo Dot with clock. It works with Google Assistant. Play music, you could ask questions, do all of that. So that's the first thing you want to look at because, with smart speakers, they'll definitely help you start your smart home. And it's a great way to actually control many devices in your home using your voice instead of your smartphone. So that brings me to my next thing here. So we want to talk about the smart lighting, which is going to be the next area. And lighting helps out in the home, and you could start off with something relatively affordable. You don't have to spend a lot of money. It sets the ambiance to whatever you want, whether you want something a little bit romantic, something for reading, something for working. And you could also remotely turn them on when you're away. So I'm going to recommend two options here for you. So while you could get, some of the Philips Hue bulbs, they are a little bit pricey, but for something more affordable, I'm going to talk about the Wise bulb. The Wise bulb is a daylight color bulb, and it's only $10 for a single pack. So with $10, you're going to get the ability to actually turn on lights remotely. And they also have a 4-pack for $30. So 4 light bulbs, smart light bulbs that you could change the color temperature to, whether it's that brighter daylight glow or something more warmer color tone for reading. But you have that for under $30, $10 for a single one. The other one here is a color changing one. And that's the Xiaomi Yeelight smart light bulb I have right here. And the advantage of this is, yes, it's going to cost more. It's $30, but we have the advantage of changing the color. So you can adjust it to any color you want, red, blue, white, yellow, whatever you want. And it's a very useful light, and it has an integrated Wi-Fi chip. So you don't need an extra bridge for it. You could control it directly through the app, or you could connect it with Google Assistant or Alexa to control the light. So that's $30 right there. And the last thing here I'm going to talk about here, as have been talking about as far as pricing, these are all affordable, under $100. And the last section here is going to be smart security cameras. So some smart security cameras, you keep an eye out on your home, gives you peace of mind, and also chat with your family. So I have two options here I'm going to recommend. First one being the WiseCam. This is a popular camera you can get on Wise's website or even Amazon. It's $20 for a security camera. You have features like night vision, 1080p video, two-way audio, and it also has local storage, so you can save the footage directly to it, so you don't have to worry about any cloud storage. It's a great, easy way to actually watch over your home. The other model here, if you want to spend something a little bit more and have a little bit more versatility, it's going to be this guy. This came out recently. This is the UV Security Cam 2K Pan and Tilt. So the advantage of this, it has all the same features as the WiseCam, but now it actually will rotate and follow people, whoever's at the home. There is local storage, so you get complete 360-degree view of your home while you're away. And it's another option you want to think about if you want to save money. Now, as I said, Greg, as far as the essential home is concerned, you could get started for less than $100 in total. So you think about the smart speakers at $30. You're looking at smart light bulbs for another $30 even. And at the very least, $20 for a security camera, you could have a total package, a smart home connected at your home for under $100.
That's not bad. I mean, it's easy to go up from there, I'm sure. But yeah, for under
Absolutely.
$100 to get the full package, I mean, that's pretty cool. Well, John, thank you so much for sharing that and giving everybody that kind of rundown. I know we got details about all those products and everything else too that people can go to at digitaltrends.com. And as always, great advice. John Velasco, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
John, right here on Digital Trends Live, and seriously, he knows everything about smart home products, so check out all the details there at Digital Trends, whatever it is that you're looking for. All right, coming up, we're going to be talking about this. So WSJ Tech Live is an event being put on by the Wall Street Journal. It's coming up in October, and joining us next to talk about that and more, we have the technology editor of the Wall Street Journal. We've got Yun-Hee Kim joining us, so stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. And welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thanks for joining us. Wherever you are, we appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. So here's the deal. The Wall Street Journal is going to be putting on an event from October 19th to the 21st of this year called WSJ Tech Live. It'll take a look at technology through a global business lens with what and who will be having an impact on tech industries, economies, and the world. And I'm excited to announce that Digital Trends will be a media partner for WSJ Tech Live. And joining us to talk about this and share her expertise on tech from the Wall Street Journal, technology editor Yun-Hee Kim. Yun-Hee, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Greg.
I want to start off talking about this event to kind of give everybody a little bit of context on this. I know this isn't the first year, but how did this all originally come about?
So WSJ Tech Live, formerly known as a D conference, started in about 2014. And given the pandemic, this year we're forced to take the entire conference online. So for 3 days, we're going to be convening some of the biggest newsmakers in the technology industry to look at some of the biggest opportunities, but also the challenges as we all look to navigate the pandemic. As you know, technology impacts so many different industries nowadays, whether it's transportation or the way we get our content online, whether it's entertainment and culture. So we're going to be convening some of the biggest innovators in these spaces to look at how technology is changing the way they do business.
I mean, it really is so integrated into every aspect of our lives. I mean, that's a great point. Now, talking about the event itself, what are some of the maybe specific themes that'll be covered at it?
Right. So one of the biggest tech stories that we're covering at the Wall Street Journal this year is looking at big tech and their power play in this pandemic and whether we're headed for another tech bubble. As you have probably seen from the congressional hearings where the CEOs of the big tech giants were grilled, we're going to be looking at the power of the big tech giants. Surprisingly, during this pandemic, companies like Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Google, they've become more powerful, and they are now flush with cash, and they're looking to do more M&A deals with the cash that they've accumulated. And so they're really looking to beef up in areas that they're weak on. So we're going to be diving deep into some of these topics through a town hall discussion. It's going to be virtual, and some of the tech leaders will come on and talk about the market power of these online platforms and what is the future of online discourse as we're headed to an election this year.
Yeah, definitely big issues right there. I mean, not only with the antitrust hearings that were going on, but also talking about that online content and moderation of what goes on social media platforms.
Right, there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation. What is the role of social media companies as they navigate to kind of moderate that content online?
Yeah, huge concerns right there. Talking about the event itself, too, just a little bit more, and I have a couple of questions about some articles that are up on, I read the Wall Street Journal. I wanted to ask you some things, but with the event itself, who are some of the key speakers that are going to be attending this?
Right, so we're going to be convening some of the big newsmakers that I've mentioned. We have Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, who will come on and talk about the work that he's been doing in New York with the coronavirus pandemic and giving kind of his ideas about, what does the future of the workplace look like? And as many states are now reopening, how do they reopen safely? In terms of the schools that are reopening, how do we get our kids back to school in a safe manner? He's going to be sharing his ideas. And obviously, because he has run Google for many, many years, he will share his views on, the way forward with big tech and, all of these concerns about the antitrust investigations going on. We also have the new CEO of IBM, Arvind Krishna. As you know, he took on from Ginni Rometty to lead this legacy tech company, and he'll be really sharing his strategy and blueprint about how he's going to be transforming IBM. It was a very strong player many decades ago, but now it's actually really struggling to compete. And they're really betting their bets on areas like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and the cloud. And he will be sharing with us how he's going to lead IBM into the next decade, so it doesn't fall behind and it's able to catch up to players like Amazon. Another CEO that will be joining us that's very exciting is the CEO of Uber, Dara Khosrowshahi. And as you know, in the pandemic, many people weren't taking rides and using ride-hailing services, but Uber has seen a bump in terms of sales for its online delivery service. He's going to be sharing with us his views about where we're headed in terms of the future of the sharing economy. Now that we all have to social distance and we have to make sure that we're not, stuck in rides, what is the blueprint for the sharing economy in the future? So that'll be a really exciting conversation.
And that's kind of perfect timing, too, because with Dara being there, because that's right about the time when that injunction is going to lift in California regarding AB5. So a great time to have somebody like that on a panel to talk about that. Going from there, something else I wanted to bring up to you, too, just with the Wall Street Journal and with your tech reporting, and particularly with your really robust background as far as, covering Asia and now here in the States with this. There's a new law in Hong Kong. This is an article that's up on Wall Street Journal right now that allows police to target social media accounts of politicians and activists. And I was wondering how the role of journalism has been affected by that in Hong Kong, and in particular, have the Wall Street Journal reporters been affected by this?
Well, I think, the specifics of this national security law, we'll have to wait and see the real impact. It's very vague and obviously it's very broad. So it's difficult to tell how it will pan out and affect journalists. But what I can say and what we've been following at the Wall Street Journal has been the potential impact that this could have on some of the big technology giants that actually operate in the region. As you know, companies like Facebook and Amazon and Apple have really huge operations in Hong Kong. And with this national security law, there are a lot of concerns about whether they could actually continue to maintain their data in this region and what that means. I think we might be seeing some of these companies really look to take their data centers elsewhere because there are concerns that if they do store their data there, it could land in the hands of the Chinese government. So this is a big story that we're covering right now. Obviously, we still have our journalists on the ground covering this big and important story. And I think we'll just have to wait and see the full impact on it that it will have not only on the tech industry, but also the media industry.
Well, it's definitely fascinating to follow along, and great reporting there in the Wall Street Journal, of course, as always. And to remind everybody again, WSJ Tech Live, so October 19th to the 21st, and you can get your tickets now as well. You can use the code DT_Tech Live and get 25% off the All Access Pass by following the links that we have right there to check that out. And Yun-Hee, thank you so much for joining us here. Appreciate you being on the show, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk soon.
Thank you, Greg.
Yun-Hee Kim, right here on Digital Trends Live, technology editor for the Wall Street Journal. Fascinating stuff, thinking about the ramifications of all that, but definitely a convergence of very, very big tech leaders all in one place there for their event. All right, continuing on here with Digital Trends Live. Up next, we have TBD. What is it going to be about? I don't know. That's what Jess and Adrien are going to tell us. It's here in just a minute, so stick around back here right after this with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and it is now time for TBD. What is it going to be about? I don't know. That's what our hosts are going to tell us. So joining us right now, we have Adrien and Jess. Jess, hello. How you doing?
Hey, Greg. I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I am doing good. And of course, Adrien Warner. Hello, Adrien.
Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday.
Yes, indeed. So for TBD, what are we talking about today?
Well, this week's TBD stands for Take, Buy, Deliver, because we're going to be talking about the future of food delivery and grocery shopping. That's kind of been a big week because we heard all about Amazon and the potential of them rolling out cashierless stores at Whole Foods. So I have to ask you, Greg, first, have your food habits changed since this whole pandemic? I mean, obviously things are a lot different now. Like, what have you been doing differently?
I'm not going to give specifics, but I have ordered a lot more online that I don't want to talk about. But yes, they have definitely changed.
Well, this isn't necessarily a direct correlation to the pandemic, but, I think it all kind of ties together in the end. So this week, the New York Post released an article that said that Amazon is going to be bringing its cashierless tech from their Go convenience stores to Whole Foods. So for those of you who may not be in the know, Amazon Go is a chain of stores and it's owned by Amazon and it has no cashiers. So they opened the first one in downtown Seattle in 2018. They're kind of like beefed up convenience stores. They've got a lot of, fresh to go options. They're really aimed at people in business centers, downtown areas and cities. And they sell a lot of to go items featuring Amazon's own labels like Happy Belly and Whole Foods 365. So since the rollout of that first store, they've opened 20 others in cities like New York City, Chicago. There's 4 each in San Francisco and Seattle. And their technology is interesting. It uses a hybrid of sensors using both cameras and computer vision so that when people pick things up in the store, they can just leave with them. They don't have to actually pay at a cashier, which is really cool. Paying with cash is technically an option. There are some store clerks there. They're just not like a huge line of cashiers at the front. So, we're going to see whether or not this rumor rings true, whether Whole Foods is going to adopt this technology and go cashierless next year. Amazon did purchase Whole Foods in 2017. And since then, they kind of left it unchanged, more or less. So it would make sense that this would be coming down the pipeline. However, Amazon has not commented on it or confirmed on it. And I think it just kind of makes sense, folding it into the rollout, while this pandemic is raging on, that there might be an option for even less contact when going into the grocery stores. I know that, a lot of us are opting for delivery and, pickup and things like that. Sometimes people still do want to go into the stores, but this could remove that extra, contact point. So to talk a little bit more about kind of the future of delivery on the outside of the grocery store, I'm going to hand it over to Jess.
Yeah, Adrien. So as we're all very aware of, the pandemic has brought a surge to the contactless grocery marketplace. According to research by consulting firm Bain and Company, only about 3 or 4% of the grocery spending in the US was done online prior to this coronavirus outbreak. This number was actually behind other countries that were more early adopters for this. But then, back at the height of the pandemic, the outbreak itself, the US's online grocery sales increased as much as 5-fold to between 10 to 15% of total grocery sales. So there was a huge spike here, and it's a trend that's expected to continue, right, as people settle into this new habit. They were also, of course, like different reasons why people were slow to adopt online grocery shopping, such as the fear of the unknown, right? So they've never done it before. They don't know what to expect. There's that fear, too, of kind of having inflated pricing and not knowing what to do there. I know for me, I'm really picky about my produce. So the idea of having someone else picking it out for me, that in the past for me would have been a bit of a barrier to entry. But now that people have gotten settled into this routine of the convenience, it's likely they'll continue. And as we know, again, a huge factor was, of course, the option for touchless delivery. Instacart's leave at my door delivery option was actually a feature designed for customers not at home at the time of delivery. But then in the first week of March, Instacart said they saw like a significant surge in both consumer adoption as well as opt-in for this particular feature. Actually, they had 25% of users opt in. So shortly thereafter, they experienced what they said is the highest consumer demand in its history in the amount of groceries sold on the platform. And then a few weeks ago, it was announced that Walmart is partnering with Instacart to offer same-day delivery starting in the US, in a few US markets, which is clearly the next step in an ongoing fight against the Amazon and Whole Foods control over the market. The partnership is currently in a pilot phase in 4 markets across California and in Oklahoma. Instacart already partners with or delivers goods from a variety of, big chains, including Aldi, Target, Costco, Kroger, and then smaller grocers as well, and as well as drugstores. But it's really this quick delivery that allows big chain grocers to compete against Amazon. If you remember back at the height, kind of the outbreak, availability of delivery and of curbside pickup slots were slim to none. Lots of people were having to place orders and wait, a week or two to be able to have access to that. And so this partnership is another opportunity to sort of leverage the quickness and be more available to consumers. I think we'll likely continue to see this unfold as well, because as I mentioned, online grocery shopping isn't going anywhere. And companies like Amazon have really conditioned, consumers into the we want it now mentality. And they're going to continue to expect that more and more, across the board. So interesting to see again where this will go.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I want to say behind the scenes, I know both Jess and Adrien have very strong feelings about the caviar delivery service, and they kept it clean for this broadcast, so I was worried we'd have to bleep something, but thank you.
It was close, Greg.
A lot to learn
it was
about.
Close.
I know we were dancing on the edge there.
I don't want to talk about it.
But a lot of news right there. That is great about food delivery. I know another part, though, of TBD is, of course, Kick Stop It. So what is our product today?
Yes, so this week's Kick Stop It is it sounds really cool. I don't know. It sounds like a nightmare ride to me, though. It's a VR setup for riding your bike indoors. So it's this little platform that you put your bike on, and then you also use the headset to simulate different bike rides in, various terrains that you couldn't actually go ride your bike in. So it's cool because it's a virtual world that you can take your bike anywhere in theory. To me, this really sounds like a nightmare vomit ride. I'm like, just go ride your bike outside. I don't like the idea that I can't look down and see my legs or the ground. I think that's terrible.
Nightmare vomit ride. Jess, how do you feel?
I have a lot of opinions, I guess.
Much like caviar. So I like this. I don't think this would be for necessarily a strenuous exercise, but especially as we're kind of a lot of times don't have easy access to these places. And it looks like a lot of different things that are not necessarily just different fun worlds. And for me, I love VR. I love that immersive ability. So I think this is fun personally.
I would like it. I mean, I live in Oregon, and I know it rains a lot here, but I don't like to ride my bike in the rain, so I'm that guy. So I would be totally down with this for the winter, as long as there's nobody else around me. I don't like VR if I can feel like there's somebody that can sneak up on me. So that there's a few different issues I have to work out with that. But I think I would kickstart this. I'm this.
Kickstarting. Yeah, I'm gonna kickstart this one.
I'm firmly in the Kick Stop It camp. I'm just going to take my bike outside. Going to avoid the dizziness.
Of course. Well, Nightmare Vomit Ride does kind of sum up your feelings on that one. So, all right, there it is. That is the Kick Stop It segment. And I know finally, of course, for TBD, we've got some Charlie Cam.
That's right. We've got Charlie Cam. We've got a Charlie doppelganger hanging out there.
Gosh.
He is really unsure how to feel about this one.
Oh,
I love the Charlie Cam. I don't know how long that's been there, but the overlay on it too. Charlie, look at him right there. Perfect way to end a Wednesday.
Speaking a little there. Thank you,
Jess, Adrien, as always, thank you. Great segment. Another edition of TBD. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you both soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Nightmare vomit ride. That's going to stick with me for the rest of the day. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is Digital Trends Live. We are here every single weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you all those trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and every day we get to talk to amazing people as well. So that's why you want to join this show. You want to hit subscribe. You want to share it. You want to let other people know about it. We have all kinds of exclusive things that'll be happening here, so join us here every single day. I'm Greg Nibbler. I'll see you here tomorrow for another edition of Digital Trends Live.